Hello there, I'm Tom Griffin. Welcome to episode 1 of Owning a Grinder. We're going to talk about the different types of grinders, the results that come from the different types of grinders, and when and where to use each of these different types of grinders. To start, let's talk about the different types of grinders that are available on the market. To my knowledge, excluding hand grinders, there's 4 types. You have direct grind, passive planetary, active planetary, and counter-rotational. National, in our line of grinders, offers 3 types, but our Helix is actually 2 different types in one, and it's one of the only ones on the market, or the only one on the market that I know that can do that. So we'll start over here, and we'll talk about direct grind and passive planetary. Direct grind is great when you are going to be removing a coating off of the concrete or the floor, and you have to use tools that are directional, meaning they have to move in a specific way in order to be effective. Passive planetary is great for prepping concrete. The tooling on the bottom of the grinder is going to follow the path of least resistance. It's still going to leave a really nice, even scratch pattern, but it's got a lot less moving parts and a lot less potential maintenance for you. Active planetary, so that's going to be any machine that's planetary where your main hub spins in one direction and your satellites spin in the opposite. And they're either gear driven or belt driven. Ours is a Kevlar belt driven on the 8274-4. It's really great for an even scratch pattern. So when we're talking about polishing or something where really having an even, perfectly even surface profile, you're going to want to go with a profile or a counter-rotational. On a counter-rotational, you've got different heads that interlock, and the tools will actually, as they move, kind of interlock. You've got 2 heads or more that spin in opposite directions of each other. So that kind of combines the best of both worlds. They're gear-driven, but you can use your omnidirectional tools, so your diamonds, but you can also put directional tools on there for removing coatings and prepping the floor in a specific way. So now that I've explained the different types of grinders, let's talk about the different environments where I, as Tom's concrete prep, might use these different machines. So the direct grind or the passive planetary, we're talking about the occasional user or the entry-level user, small spaces, commercial offices where it's harder to get a big grinder in, homes, garages, because this is a 110 volt machine. So as long as you've got, a 20 amp breaker, then you're all set, you're good to go. This machine isn't really used for polishing. So we're really talking about surface prep with this. We're talking about removing coatings, removing paint, and making sure that your profile on the concrete is good for your next application. The 8274-4, great small polishing machine. It can do the same prep that the Helix can do, but it can also polish up to a 3000 mirror finish. So this has a lot more versatility on there, and you could still use this in small commercial, you could still use this in homes, but it is a little bit bigger. So here in Colorado where I'm at, the Helix is a lot easier to get down into a basement for quote unquote man cave than trying to get the 8274-4 down there or any of our bigger grinders. GP500 or GP700 are bigger counter-rotational grinders. Those are going to be great for larger open spaces. You can still do a garage with them. They're going to prep a lot faster than the 110 volt machines, but we're talking about 220 single phase or 220 3-phase power. Not as readily available in commercial spaces. You can still get some of that at home or if you're running off of generators. But I would use these maybe in a smaller warehouse like we have here at our training facility, or a bigger garage or patio outside. That would be where I would use some of these bigger machines. One that we don't have featured here, our GP3000. That's when we're talking about larger warehouses, larger open spaces, because you just need some room to maneuver the actual machine around. here's a great demonstration of the different types of scratch patterns that our machines will make. Starting here, both of these are with the Helix. One here on my right is the passive Planetary. So a lot of people think that even though it's passive Planetary, that it follows the path of least resistance, that it's gonna be a really uneven scratch pattern. But what you can see here, as I came to the end of this row, it's a really even scratch pattern. And even going back, we've got a lot of highs and lows, and our concrete here is pretty poor as far as levelness goes, but you can really see that it leaves a very even scratch pattern and that it really does profile across the full working width of the head. Directly below me is also the Helix, but this is the direct drive. So you can actually see the full circles that the diamonds made as they went. So that's where, when you're using a directional tooling like a carbide chip or a PCD, it's really gonna force the tools in that direction, and it's really gonna help work across the full width and make it very even, nice profile. This beautiful star pattern is reminiscent of anyone that's ever seen a active Planetary machine. So any Planetary machine out there on the market is going to leave a scratch pattern in the star shape similar to this, because literally your diamond tools are following that sort of pattern. So it really forces the tools around. It leaves a very even profile across the full working width. And then last but not least is our counter-rotational grinder. So you can actually see that there's kind of two competing circles here. They slightly overlap, but not really. And as you move on the counter-rotational machine, as I walked, you're actually kind of grinding like this. So you're overlapping each of those so you don't end up with cornrows. And then also when you would make your next pass, you're just gonna barely do it on the outside. So just a quick note, the concrete that I did this demo on, we have hardened or densified it probably about 8 or 9 times. It's been polished multiple times. This is about as hard of concrete as you can get, and doing a really quick pass with our machines on here was able to produce this. So just imagine what would happen if you were actually on a job site and taking your time. These machines would be able to open this up beautifully, whichever one you choose.